Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. You are watching the 2018 Online Summit, Woman, You Are Significant. I am your host, Bonita Owens, owner of the Amazing Women Network, and we are here all week to motivate, inspire, and to share valuable information that will help you own your power and step into your significance. So without further ado, I am going to introduce to you another one of my amazing guests who is going to share with you her genius, her superpower, and it is Aundrea De Leon. She's a visionary leader, spiritual guide, and energy healer. By the age of 18, she had been known by 3 different legal names, moved over 50 times, aged out of foster care, and had been through 3 different adoption experiences. She completely transformed her life, putting her on the path to become a top IT professional, leading global teams for Fortune 100 companies. After 20 years as a career professional, Aundrea embraced her true talents of courage, creativity, intuition, and the ability to see the emotional pain hiding the light of the shining soul in every human being to become a visionary leader and spiritual teacher. Aundrea is a guide for goal-oriented professionals who feel disconnected and lost from the deeper purpose of their life to enable them to unlock their limitless potential and create a magnetic force for their unstoppable success. So I don't know about you, but I am already super excited for this woman to come on to share. I know her as a woman who is passionate and very loving and really wanting to connect and help women to live their best life. And I am so excited for you to hear her. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Aundrea De Leon. Thank you so much for joining today, Aundrea.
Hi, Bonita. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you and your audience.
Well, I'm so excited, and take it away.
Okay. All right. Today, we are going to talk about how you can unlock the significant power of your heart and your heart's intuition. How does that sound? So what I want to start out with is we are living in a digital era. Most people have not just a cell phone, but multiple electronic devices. And we used to have this barrier of about 6 degrees of separation between people we wanted to know or connect with. But through the digital media, Facebook, Twitter, the myriad of social media sites, our degrees of separation have really diminished between 1 and 3. If I want to connect with somebody, I probably have a common friend with them. I can go on LinkedIn, I can go on Facebook, I can go onto some type of platform and find a way to pop in, see what's going on with that person's life, kind of get a glimpse into what's happening, or even just pop in and say hi. In the information technology age, you can have your groceries delivered, you can have your takeout food delivered. You barely even have to leave your house anymore. We've got the mega giant Amazon that pretty much delivers anything you need. You can pretty much set up your monthly supply list and have that automatically delivered to you. You can even, I've seen the services where you can even get a virtual doctor's visit. So you can get on a video conference with a doctor and skip the line at urgent care to get antibiotics or prescriptions, et cetera, for common colds or ailments. You can Google, you can go to WebMD, you can pretty much find anything you want to know, you want to have access to online. But yet, our society has a higher percentage of anxiety, depression, weight issues, struggles, and people, I hear so many people talk about the fact that they're feeling isolated. They're feeling disconnected. They're feeling a deep epidemic that I see spreading is the epidemic of not enough. not enough time, not enough money, not enough experience, not enough, just in general. I'm not enough in my career. I'm not enough of a parent. I'm not enough of a partner or a spouse. And people are carrying around this deep sense of not enough and I don't belong. And we do not need to live that way. But what's happening is that we're so bombarded. This is my cell phone. We are so bombarded by external information and a constant bombarding from other channels and other information sources that we've become disconnected with some of our own main information sources that help us live in harmony in all areas of our life, that help us live in flow, ready and able to navigate life's day-to-day challenges with ease and with confidence and with grace. And a lot of times we're finding ourselves in reactive mode because of everything that's coming at us. And what I want to talk about today and what I want to do today is give you some information and some tools about how to rebalance, how to reconnect with the most important tool that you were born with and that you own, and it help you rebuild that connection so that you can learn to get in that ready state daily, and that so that when life's challenges come up, you have a place of readiness so you can respond, so that you're saving your energy for the things that are important and not expelling or wasting energy on things that aren't important. How to find balance and confidence in your decision-making process, and really in general, how to hit the easy button to flow with your life. We have too much noise, too much all this going on around us that at times we have forgotten that there are tools and skills that we have that will make us and make it easier to navigate day-to-day life. So one of the things that I see a lot of people working on, a lot of people are very conscious and becoming more aware of making themselves better. So they're working on mindset and beliefs. They're working on physical. So there's a lot of weight loss and nutrition type of companies and programs out there. And those are all very important for you, but they're not the whole picture. They're not the whole piece of your well-being needs. And so I want to introduce you to a tool that you have that puts out 2.5 watts of power. Now that may not seem like a lot considering a 65 watt light bulb can almost light up a room. But this tool puts out 2.5 watts of power that can illuminate a whole new path in life for you. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the power of your heart. For a very long time, we've been taught or educated that our brain is the most important aspect of our life and that our brain is in charge. But through science and research and studies, what we've begun to learn is that the brain actually is not in charge. It's just a part of the equation. And that when we can step in and create a stronger heart, mind, emotional connection, we are able to regulate our lives and calm the chaos, bring forth the best part of ourselves, unlock our creativity, create pathways forward that maybe we didn't even know existed. And so I want to teach you, and we're going to talk about how to tap into that. So your heart actually has its own logic, its own emotions, its own memories, and its own intuition. How many of us have been taught or said, don't be so emotional, use your logic, don't be so irrational? And those are the things that make us shut down our connection to our heart and stay wrapped into our brain. Now, I'm a mom of 4. I live in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, and being a mom of 4 for the past, couple, 15, 16 years, pretty much every movie that I have seen is an animated movie. And if you have anything in common with me, you know that when you go to the movies, that before the main feature movie, there's usually these little shorts. And when we went to see the movie Moana, there was a little short movie beforehand that was called Inner Workings. And you can Google this and look it up. It's called Inner Workings, and it's a short movie. And what it was a movie about how a man was living his life and how the brain, every time the man would want to sing and dance in the shower, the brain would kick in, pull the heartstrings up and go, don't do that. That's not safe. So if he was going to sing in the shower, the brain would grab the heartstrings of the heart and say, don't do that. And would play this picture out of, you're going to fall in the shower from singing. You're going to, get electrocuted, or you're going to hit your head, and then you're going to die. And all the way throughout his life, throughout the whole day, this process replayed from what he wanted to eat for breakfast, because he saw people eating pancakes with syrup and butter, and the brain kicked in and pulled the heartstrings, and the heart was like, but I want to eat that. And the brain pulled the heartstrings and said, if you eat that, you're going to get fat, you're going to get cholesterol, and then you're going to die. And then he saw the beach, and people were going to the beach and playing, and his heart started dragging his body towards the beach, and the brain kicked in, pulled the heartstrings and said, you go to the beach, you're going to drown, you're going to die. Pretty much everything was, no, if you do that, you're going to die. Well, I have news for you. None of us are getting out of here alive. So eventually, we're all going to end this lifetime. But it's how we make the most of the time that we have while we're here that will make the difference of how we feel at the end of our time here. So one of the things that has come into scientific and research is that this thought or belief that your brain is in charge of your heart. Now, there is a main communication channel that goes from your brain to your heart, that your brain tells your heart to beat faster, slower, etc. But really what we've learned is that there are more communication channels from your brain or from your heart up to your brain. In fact, your heart sends information to your brain about how you're feeling, memories, etc. Your brain uses that and stores that information. So that way, as you're navigating the world around you, it's going to go back to that filing cabinet and say, oh, we've seen this before. We've felt this before. Here's what I think we should do to navigate. What the brain can't do is foresee change, shift, deeper meaning. And that's where the heart comes into play. So your heart actually regulates your body in 4 different ways. It regulates your body neurologically, so it regulates your nervous system. Biochemically, so it's actually regulating your hormone system. Biophysically, so it's putting out pulse waves, and it regulates your body energetically. So up to 3 feet away, with the right equipment and the right technology, we can sense a person's heartbeat pattern or heartbeat rhythm. And in fact, when you come into close proximity with people in the room, so when you come into a room of other people, your hearts are automatically all trying to sync to the same rhythm. How you're truly feeling is being projected by your heart's energy field. And other people can pick that up. I'm certain there are probably times in your life where you've walked into a room or you kind of stood next to somebody and you've kind of felt some kind of energy or kind of tone of a personality or something that didn't quite fit. Or you've just found yourself really drawn to someone or something and you just really couldn't put words to it, but you just felt that draw to them. Your body is a very natural magnet, and your heart has the positive, negative charge to tell you what you want. So if you think about maybe a dessert, or if you go out to eat, or when you sit down at dinner, if it looks really good, your heart pulls you forward, and you automatically lean in and want to get closer to that food. If something comes across your plate or your dinner table that you don't like, you kind of immediately start to push back, and your heart's kind of putting that negative charge out there that says, no, we don't like that. You've heard people talk about, well, I tried to do this, but my heart wasn't really in it. And we say that thinking that it's metaphorically, but it's actually very, very true. Through your heart communication with your brain Your heart is telling your brain how you feel, how you think, and how you want to respond to the world around you. So I want to teach you your first technique about how to start building your connection with your heart. It doesn't take very long. It only takes a couple seconds, couple minutes throughout your day, actually. And you can do this at any time and place. And it's called heart-centered breathing. And what I want you to do is I want you to put your hand on your heart, and I want you to do some deep, slow in and out breaths. So kind of in for the count of 4, out for the count of 4. And when you do that, I want you to imagine that your breath is coming into your heart space. And as you're breathing out, I want you to imagine that your breath is coming out of your heart space. And just quietly do that. You can do that with your eyes closed, kind of 4 or 5 times. So in for a count of 4, out for a count of 4. What you're doing in that moment is that you're resetting your heart variability rate, or you're resetting your connection to your heart. And the benefit of doing this is that you're getting into a place of quiet and stillness. You're resetting those patterns in your body. You're resetting your nervous system, your hormones, all your energy field. You're resetting all of those when you take a moment to just breathe. Now, I do this first thing in the morning. For those of you that maybe meditate, or those of you who want to but haven't, this is a really simple, easy first thing in the morning when you wake up to start your day connecting to your heart and with your heart-centered breathing, because it kind of starts to set your baseline. The second step of heart-centered breathing is then to imagine or focus on a person, place, or event that creates a feeling of caring, kindness, that warm feeling. So that could be your kids, it could be a pet, it could be an adventure that you went on, something that creates that warm, glowing feeling. And as you're breathing in and out, I want you to focus on holding that feeling in your heart space and feel that radiating throughout you. Now, if you do this up to 5 minutes a day, up to 15 minutes a day, you don't have to do it all at one time. You can do this for just a minute or 2 at a time throughout different points of your day. You're giving your heart the ability to reset your system so that you're kind of getting to that ready state to show up for whatever is coming at you that day. So in the morning, if you do that and start with your heart-focused breathing, creating that generative feeling of care, compassion, etc., you're setting the tone for your morning already for the rest of your day, that you're starting from a ready state. So if you think about professional athletes, golfers, basketball players, track and field, etc., if you look at what athletes do, they always come in and they have a ready state. They get ready for the game. This is your way of getting ready for the game of life throughout the day. And you're getting into a ready state. You can do this again at lunch. So you've gone through your morning meetings, or you've gotten the kids out the door to school, and you've gone out. If you're a business owner, you've been out at business meetings, or you've been working with clients. Stepping back into that heart-focused breathing or heart-centered breathing re-baselines and re-centers you. Now, if you can imagine, then throughout your day, life is happening. Life is coming at you. And we spend a lot of time reacting to everything coming at us. One of the best times of the day that I like to practice the heart-focused breathing, because the heart-focused breathing then shifts our logic, shifts our ability to creatively see a different way forward, is in traffic. So if you think about it, you're in traffic, especially if you're in stop and go traffic and you're getting all amped up, what you can do is you can shift into that heart-focused breathing, kind of take a minute to calm, and then you can shift your brain into, there's not much I can do about this. It is what it is. I cannot change the traffic pattern. But what I can do is I can change the tone in my car. I can put on music. I can put on a webinar. I can listen to a podcast. We have a different way that we can show up in that situation. And when we shift from frustration, anger, fear, into a more calm, what I call a regenerative state, We are, we're taking ownership and accountability and putting more energy back into our lives. So when we're not giving away energy and not giving away effort and thoughts and frustration, et cetera, to things that we really can't control, we really can't change. When we take that energy back and bring that energy back into our center, you're going to have that energy available to you when you get home and your kids come home and they're upset about the day they've had at school, or there's been a bullying situation, or your teenager, came home and had snacks and left food all over the table, right? In that moment, it's just a time to slow down, really focus on how you want to show up in that situation, and then navigate forward. Your heart has a natural intuition. And in fact, I want to talk about the significance of your heart's power and intuition for a second before I teach you the next step. If you think about it, the moment that you were conceived, the first thing that we know about a child before they're born is we know their heartbeat. The heartbeat is there before the brain is ever developed. So the heart is the beginning of you, the center of you, and it's really the last thing that happens when you leave this planet or when you leave this lifetime is we wait for the heart to stop beating. The heart has also been known as the selfish organ. So the heart actually takes the best blood to run through itself before it passes it on to the rest of the body. Now, if you think about this, we're a bunch of women. We are multitaskers. We are doers. We are get stuff done. And if you think about this, the heart's selfishness about taking the best blood for itself before it passes the rest of the blood out to the rest of our organs, think about the times that you don't take time out for yourself, that you don't take time out for self-care. You're giving away all your blood, all your good energy. You're giving that out to everybody else, depleting you. So the heart knows that it needs to refuel itself to keep going, to keep the rest of the body going. The same applies for us. We need to refuel ourselves and take time out for ourselves before we go running out into the world, doing all of the amazing things that we love to do and supporting all of the people that we love. We've got to make sure that we've given ourselves the best care so that we can show up the best way for the people that we love. I want you to, there's a simple practice that I like to teach people to help maintain your energy reserves and help keep your heart in the game every day of your life. So we've all had those situations. Traffic is a good one where, or, if you have teenagers, we get these opportunities every single day. Maybe it's an opportunity at work. Maybe you're in a stressful situation, or even before you go and meet with clients or potential clients, if you're a business owner, is we have a certain view of every situation. And sometimes, most of the time, the view that we're coming from is our logical view. But if we can shift from our logical view down into our heart space and create that mind-heart connection, we actually can get a broader view of the situation, a broader view of ourselves, and decide really how we want to step forward. So what I teach people is I teach them the process. I call it go to see, S-E-A. And C stands for shift, explore, act. So I want you to think about a situation, maybe at home, in your business, or if you're in the corporate world at work, where something happens, somebody does something, a person says something, you're come out of a stressful meeting, your kids come home, or your kids are at home and they've done something that maybe doesn't fit within the family rules. We get to decide how we show up for that. And there's a way that we can show up that either creates a positive, compassionate way to move forward, or we can show up in ways that create competition, combativeness, lower vibration feelings of shame, guilt, frustration, things that weigh us down. But if you can practice the go to see, you might be able to see a different way of navigating through that situation. So the shift, S, is shift out of your brain into your heart. And that is just take a couple heart-focused breaths, give your heart a minute to catch up, and give your brain a second to slow down. The E is for explore. Explore how you're feeling. Why are you feeling that way? What's coming up for you? And is there a different way that you want to feel in the situation? So, I keep talking about teens because I've got a few of them in my household. But we recently had a situation where, our teen daughter wasn't following the rules that we have asked, like taking food into a room, taking cups, things like that are just like, in the grand scheme of life, they're really not a big deal. But at home, they're extremely frustrating for us. And so my husband and I were having a conversation. He's like, you need to talk to her. And I was like, okay. So immediately I sensed that I was going to be frustrated around the situation. Well, knowing that frustration does not open communication with anybody, whether you're a parent, whether you're a coworker, whether you're a business leader, if you're coming from a place of frustration, no conversation can happen. So I immediately shifted. I took a couple heart-focused breaths, got down into my heart space and said, in the grand scheme of things, is this really a big deal? It's not really a big deal. However, I'd like her to understand how it feels when she doesn't respect the rules or the guidance that we've laid out, because I need her to be aware of her influence in this family. And immediately I shift from a place of frustration with her to, how can I approach this conversation? So that was my explore moment. So then my actions forward matched with really the tone that I wanted to have going forward. And I was able to approach the conversation with her to say, hey, I realize this probably isn't a big deal to you, and you don't really understand why it's a big deal to us, but it just makes it feel like you don't have any respect for us, or you really don't care about the household when you do this. And I'm sure that's probably not what you're trying to accomplish. And immediately in the conversation, she shifted and said, yeah, I kind of think it's probably one of those things where I get really frustrated and mad about stuff you guys do that you don't understand. So I can see where you're coming from. The whole conversation went really well. We got to speak, and I got to say, what wasn't working for me, and express that to her in a way that she understood. And then we were able to collaboratively find a way forward together. In the corporate world or in the business world, think about a time when somebody at work does something. Our brain may immediately go into, I can't believe that person is doing that. Are they selfish? Do they just not understand how important it is to do that? That is our reptilian brain. That is our emotional brain going, alert, alert, this shouldn't be this way. But if you take a heart-focused breath and shift down, explore, you might realize, or maybe look at, maybe there's something else going on in that person's life. Maybe they have a different stressor somewhere and they're just not showing up their best. Or maybe there is something that we could do to help that situation be better. And in that moment of shifting down, taking a different look around the situation, now our brain broadens, our vision of the situation broadens, and we probably come up with actions or options to move forward that actually would create the situation, give opportunity for the situation to be better. Maybe there's something in your role or in your department or as you're, in your business that you can do for that other person that creates a more collaborative, a more compassionate, a more kind interaction going forward. And you've had the opportunity to influence a shift in direction. Decision-making. I want to talk about your heart's intuition in decision-making. So many times I hear people and see people in their head, they're like, oh, I just don't know what to do. I think I should do this. I think I should do that. In the corporate world, I can't even tell you how many meetings I sat in with the most brilliant people. And always the conversation is, well, what do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? We're always challenged about our logic and our thinking. But what happens is you become really good at what you do. And as you gain skills, experience, etc., you have a natural intuition that sometimes there's an intuitive sense or kind of a nudge or a gut feeling that says, what if we did this? And I experimented one time. We were having this big meeting and everybody was like, I think we should do this. I think we should do this. Well, here's what I think. And I finally stopped and I asked my team or a couple of people, and I said, well, how do you feel? What do you feel is the right decision to move forward? And immediately they went from their head, dropped down, and kind of started tapping into what I call your heart's intuition. Because it was, well, I can't put words to it and I can't really explain the logic, but I really feel if we look in this direction, we might find the answer, or we might get the success, or we might open a door to solving this problem. Our emotions are as important as our logic in navigating going forward. So your heart has kind of like 3 areas of intuition: implicit knowledge, non-local intuition, and energy sensitivity. Now, implicit knowledge is some of that what I was just talking about. That experience that you have, that life knowing, you just kind of have a feeling about something, or you kind of know something without being able to explain it. So sometimes those come up, like maybe you're in the shower and you get those aha moments, or when you're driving and you're kind of daydreaming while you're driving, and suddenly you get insight into a problem you've been trying to solve. I used to, when I was going through college and I was taking programming classes, I used to, going through programming, you'll hit a brick wall where you just can't figure out the logic, or you can't figure out how to do the program. So I used to just walk away and say, I'm just going to allow the answer to come to me. I'm not kidding you. In the middle of the night in my dream, I would suddenly get this picture in my dream of, oh, if you just type the code this way, or here's what you need to know. And I would get up sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes the next morning, I would get up and go do that, and my problem would be solved. How many times in your life have you just had this knowingness, without the right words even, or without explanation, that something was the right step for you, that a person was someone you needed to meet? Those are all your heart's intuition leading and guiding you. And it's important to pay attention to them as you're navigating your life. The heart's non-local intuition, those are the times when you've been thinking about a really good friend, or you've been thinking about somebody you met in a networking group, or something, and suddenly you get a phone call, or you get an email, or they send you a Facebook message. And we talk about that, oh, you got my energy memo, or you got my memo that I was thinking about you, right? So that's that non-local. There's actually studies been done with pets and their owners with that. They put a camera in a house, and this dog, no matter their owner always kind of came home at the same time every day. And they put a camera in the house, and the dog, even before the owner got home, would get up from their bed and go sit at the door because they knew the owner was coming home. Well, then they started to change up the pattern. They started changing up the pattern to have the owner just pop in at random times. And it was interesting because the cameras picked up that it didn't even matter if it was a random time. The dog knew that the owner was coming home and would get up and go walk to the door and would be there waiting before the owner even got to the garage. So your heart has this non-local intuition. As a parent, maybe you've had a sense that your child wasn't in a great situation, or something wasn't going well. That's your non-local intuition telling you to pay attention. Something's going on. But too many times we squash that down. We turn it off. We're like, that's not logical. That doesn't make any sense. But that is the power, the significant power that lives within your heart that helps make navigating your life easier, that tells you to pay attention. Your heart's already out there sensing and feeling what's going on and trying to feed that information to you. The last one is energy sensitivity. And for my empaths who sense and feel what other people are feeling, you know what this is. For those of you that aren't necessarily empaths, you do know what this is. You've walked into a room and you've gone, whoa, like the energy in here, you could cut it with a knife. Or you walk into a situation and you're like, wow, this place just feels light and vibrant and amazing. The heart, we've talked about your heart is putting out a signal You can pick up the signal of other people. You've stood next to somebody at the store, or you said, there's just something about that person I just don't know. You're picking up on that energy signal or that energy pattern. Your heart is telling you something's not right. But we always go up to our brain and try and make sense of it. I heard this saying, and I thought it was very appropriate that your heart already knows, but your mind needs to make sense of it. So when we listen and take time to build the connection with your heart in your life, you're going to open the doors to your creativity. You're going to create a platform for creating some harmony and some balance in all areas of your life. You're going to be able to recharge that battery. That's your GPS. That is your battery pack that actually lights the way and creates the motivation, the energy, the desire, the drive to do the things you want in life. How do you use your heart in your decision-making process? How many times have we gone to make a decision and we make a pros and cons list? That's a very logical process. Nothing wrong with that. Give your brain an opportunity to download what you already know. But there are things we don't know logically, but that are important for us to walk through. And so I want you to think about a decision, let the logic come out, maybe write it down, because that's a great way to get it out of your brain and get it out of your non-conscious and just get it down on paper. Then everything that you write down, I want you to go to your heart space and I want you to ask, how does this feel? And if you get that, yeah, it feels good, like your heart, and listen to what your heart is telling you. It feels good. This feels like something I should do. This feels like it matches my values. It now feels like it matches my mission. Then that's an easy yes. But if you get a resistance, maybe, I don't know, I want you to pay attention to that. So 1.5 years ago, in my last corporate role, the company was closing down. I'd spent a couple years building a team, revamping an entire department that was underperforming, and the company just couldn't sustain. And so they were selling off all their portfolio of assets and closing down the company. And at the time that this all started, I had been being recruited by another company, and I had a decision to make. I could take this offer from another company and go move on and move into my career and move forward in my career with a different company, or I could stay with the company that was closing down, help them close down through the end of the year, and not necessarily know what was next for me. And so I had this great offer. This company came and offered me more money. The benefits cost less, so that meant more money. It was a guaranteed, 3 to 5 year role. It was a leadership role. Logically, all the check marks matched logically what would make sense. But I couldn't quite figure out why it didn't feel good to say yes to that opportunity. So I sat with the situation. I did my heart-focused breathing, and I did my go to see. So I shifted from head to heart. And then I explored the situation. I imagined myself walking out of my current company to this new company. And how did that feel? Then I imagined myself staying with the current company, closing down the company, laying off my team at different phases throughout the year. And I just knew that something about the other opportunity wasn't right. And I knew I needed to stay and finish the time with this team, and that there was more to the journey that I didn't know, but there was something more to the journey. So my next actions matched what the vibration or what the energetic feel or the emotional feel was right. I had to call the other company and I had to say, look, logically, your offer makes sense. Everything makes sense. Like logically, that is the right decision. But what I can tell you is that it's not the right decision for me right now. And thank you. I don't want to negotiate. You can't offer me more money. There's nothing else to that. I am going to stay and do this. And I'm glad I did, because I got time that year to take classes and to explore a whole different side of myself that I would never have had the opportunity to do, or maybe not at that time, if I had moved into the other role. I would have been go, 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 busy all day, and suddenly this path that I was supposed to walk into as an energy healer of embracing my spiritual knowledge and desire to unlock the gates for people's hearts, for them to step into their life and to really unlock the light of who they are inside, would have been delayed because I would have said no to it and walked a different path. So think about a time that you've been faced with a decision and logically all of the boxes line up, but inside there's something saying it's not right. I give you permission to listen to that, and I give you permission to embrace it. It's not common. Corporate world doesn't teach us that. School doesn't really teach us that either. And certainly our family isn't going to teach us that, because our family is going to try and protect us. Oh, you should definitely take the job. That's safe. Then you'll be taken care of. Then you'll be okay. They really do love you, but they really are focused on protecting you. Your heart is here to really navigate you. It is the GPS of your life. The difference between your heart and your brain is that the brain is really loud. It can yell. It gets very noisy. But the heart is very quiet. It whispers. It's softer. So you have to make the time and the space to listen to your heart, to engage with your heart, and let it be part of the process of your mind, heart, emotional systems to navigate life. And when you do, you will make better decisions for yourself. You will show up differently for yourself, for your family, for your career. And it's interesting because people will pick up on it. People will want to be around you. Suddenly people started coming up to me and go, I just don't know what it is, but I feel like I just need to meet you. Or you'll end up shifting the tone in your house. When I shifted out of my tone of frustration and busy and do and have to be, I started getting quiet and listening to my heart and shifting how I showed up in my house. Kids became happier. Husband became happier. House became less chaotic. And that's really saying something, because with 4 kids, there's always a 3-ring circus going on in our house, right? So I want you to imagine for yourself how taking some time to bring the significant power and intuition of your heart into your life, what could it shift for you? What could become easier? How can you create an environment of compassion and caring that emanates into all areas of your life? What would that do for your business? What would that do for your career? What would that do for your relationships? One of my favorite sayings by Rumi is that your task is not to seek to find love. Your task is to seek to find all the barriers you've built against it. So my last thing for you is just a little bit of information about how we create the barriers to our heart. We have all had situations in our life where we have felt heartbreak, disappointment. We're carrying emotional baggage from stressful, negative events in our life. Those are all things that create what I call a heart wall or a barrier to allowing your heart to come out, allowing the love, the self-love, the beauty, the light, the center of who you are to shine forth. And I encourage you, because you probably know of a few situations where you're still feeling kind of some things about that, spend some time in conversation with your heart through meditation. If it's prayer, if it's journaling, if it's reading, seek out an energy healer, a Reiki practitioner, a trusted one. Go back to that situation as you now and find a way to find some gratitude, some forgiveness, those emotions that will start to heal those situations, releasing your barriers of your heart and allowing you to really start to embrace that connection with your heart. My name is Aundrea De Leon. I am a spiritual guide and energy healer. I am a huge passionate proponent of the human spirit and healing the human spirit and allowing the best and most beautiful parts of you to come forward in this world, because in doing so, you become a force for unstoppable success. You become a magnet for success, for love, for joy, and all of the things that you want in your life. And I want to say thank you for your time today.
Wow. Thank you so much, Aundrea. That was so powerful. And I loved that you gave practical practices, practical practices.
Yes, they are practical practices.
that the viewers can really go away with. And I know for me, this is really good to hear, because so many of us, me included, spent a lot of time just being in my head, just not really paying attention to my heart, to my spirit. And when I started doing that, it has really changed my life. So thank you so much for sharing. And I encourage you to listen and to try the things that the practices that were shared in the process, and just try it. I know it may be different for you, but I encourage you to try it and reap the benefits of it. So thank you so much, Aundrea. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your heart, for sharing your knowledge. And I want to ask you to just stay a little bit.
Okay.
Our viewers, stay after this for a little bit more information. Thank you.